What is up, guys? My name's Owen, and welcome back to the Bent Fender podcast. And today I will be reviewing the 64th running of the Daytona 500. I know this video is going to be a little bit late, but what can you do, right? So, before the race even started, we have a couple new rookies making their way into the series in Kaz Grala and Jacques Villeneuve. And then we have one return in the Biff. Greg Biffle is returning. And other than that, let's get into the actual race. So, the first stage, the first two stages are 65 laps, and then the final stage is 70 laps. So, Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman were on the front row for the start, and they led the pack to the green. But Brad Keselowski led the first lap. And then not really much happened in the early going. At the beginning of the runs, at the beginning of runs, it seemed like the high line was the faster line. But then the bottom line came in a little bit later on. And then nothing really happened until the first green flag pit stops, when Jacques Villeneuve kind of spun as he was slowing down to get into the pit. It kind of looked like his back end kind of came out from under him. And he spun, but he saved it, so it stayed green. And then a little bit after that, the first caution came out, which was Grala losing a wheel, as well as Chase Briscoe. He spun out. And so that was the first caution. Then Kyle Busch led after that. And then, alright, and a couple laps later, Justin Haley's front wheel breaks. Like, the rubber came off the tire well and completely broke the rim. And that brings out the second caution. Then, so after that, Kyle Busch leads again. And then the first kind of big one happens. So what happens there is Keselowski and being aggressive. And he kind of bumped into the back of Burton, and which spun him out, which then he hit William Byron. That sent him into the inside wall. And that also collected Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, and Ross Chastain. They all ended up getting damage from this. And also, Burton flipped, which It's kind of a recurring thing at like super speedways is a car flipping, because I think at like a lot of the super speedways, there's at least one car flipping in any of the series. So after that, there were only 4 cars that were out of the race, and that was William Byron, Burton, Denny Hamlin, and Ross Chastain. They all were out of the race. And then after the restart, it was clean racing to the end of this, or no, that was the end of the stage. And MTJ wins the stage. That is Martin Truex Jr. Then start of the second stage is so Jones wins the race off pit road, which means he will lead. And then nothing really happened at the early part. And then halfway through the race at this point, Ryan Blaney was leading. And then the second round of green flag pit stops happen. And the only thing to happen during this stage was Chase Elliott stalled after his stop. But he did get it going again, so everything was okay. And then MTJ wins his second stage of the race and of the season. And then the start of stage 3, which is 70 laps for this stage. Keselowski wins the race off pit road. And then a little while later, we have our 4th caution of the race, which was Villeneuve kind of moved up, kind of to do a move on Reddick, or kind of moved up to like push him a little bit, but he hit him in the wrong spot, which spun Reddick out, which collected Joey Logano, Kurt Busch, and Martin Truex Jr., who got a little bit of damage in this. And the only person to be eliminated from the race, or to not finish the race from this crash, was Tyler Reddick. And then after this crash, Austin Cindric led. And then another decent sized crash for Daytona so all the people who got caught up in this one was Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, Chase Elliott, Todd Gilliland, Larson, and Gregson. And Chase kind of spun trying to avoid the wreck in front of him. And I think if I'm remembering correctly, for this one, Noah Gragson was in front of Hamlin, and Hamlin kind of, or Gregson was kind of like slowing down to get up to Chase, and got hit in the back by Larson, which spun them all out. And so the people eliminated from this crash was Larson, Gilliland, and Harvick. And after that, Ricky Stenhouse led. And then another crash, which was Ricky Stenhouse and Chris Buescher. They kind of spun. And Bubba Wallace took a little bit of damage in this, being that his right quarter panel kind of blew, or his right wheel guard kind of was gone. Then, during this one, it was mentioned that Regan Smith, who was kind of having a quiet race, has missed the last 3 big accidents. I think that was also the same to be said with Kyle Busch. And then after that wreck, Austin Cindric led. And then Austin Cindric ended up winning the race. And there was a crash afterwards. So the top 5 for the race was Austin Cindric, Bubba Wallace, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Blaney, and Alex Almirola. And Almirola is in his final season, and a 5th place in the 500 ain't bad, but also I didn't really see him at all until like the final 5 laps, or I'm like, oh, okay, there he is. There's Almirola. And so the 2 rookies I mentioned earlier, Villeneuve finished 22nd, and Grilla finished 26th. And all in all, it was a fun race to watch. I'm going to score it an 8 out of 10. It's the 500s. It's always going to be exciting. But the one thing I wish NASCAR would do is not go to brakes, because the first 2 cautions happened under the commercial break, and we didn't get to see it. And so I would say do what F1 does by doing like the picture-in-picture, where you have like the race here and then like the ad here. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video here. Please remember to like and subscribe. And we will see you next week. Peace.